Hi, this is Nick Hodge with the Outsider Club. I have once again the founder of Reconnaissance Energy Africa, Craig Steinke. The last time we spoke, you'll remember that oil was just sort of coming out of a negative period. We experienced a bit of deflation on the back of coronavirus, and shares of Recon were down around 50 or 55 cents in the month or month and a week or two since. Shares have come up to 85 to 90 cents as oil has rebounded a bit, and there's lots of news and exciting things to talk about with Craig. So Craig, thanks for coming back on.
Thanks, Nick.
Last time we spoke was the first time I introduced this story to Outsider Club. Why don't you remind us what we were talking about then, as far as Namibia and the Kavango Basin?
Well, what we were discussing is that this is developed into the highest, probably the most important exploration play worldwide. And the reason for that is that this is, we've discovered a new 30,000 foot sedimentary basin in northeast Namibia, the Kavango Basin. And one company, Recon Africa, holds the entire basin, which is aerially larger than the Eagleford. And one of the differences between the two basins is that the Eagleford is held by over 100 companies, and Recon Africa holds the entire sedimentary basin. And I think very importantly that this is why it's so important is one company holds the basin, but there's none of these left, Nick. Like there is onshore, as industry, to the point industry is aware, there are no basins of this size and depth left in the world. There's a couple offshore up in the Arctic that Russia and the US are fighting over, but onshore, there's no basin of this caliber and size left undeveloped.
Well, and importantly, and maybe you should tell it because I'm not as technical as you, but as I understand it, depths of this basin, depths of sedimentary basins of this depth are always found to contain hydrocarbons. Is that correct?
Well, that's right. That's a very important point, Nick. And the reason is that, like, Bill Cathy, the president of or CEO of Earthfields Technologies, who does all of Chevron's new basin work around the world. They don't use anybody else but Bill. And, his client list is Exxon, Shell, Occidental, Conoco. His point is, I know every basin in the world. And he said, all basins of this depth, 30,000 feet, produce commercial grades of hydrocarbons. And why the point is, this is the key takeaway, Nick, is that a deep basin versus a shallow basin, say a shallow basin 10,000 feet deep, versus a 30,000 foot sedimentary basin, it's the deep basins have the thick fill of sedimentary rock. And the point is, when you have that much fill of sedimentary rock, always do you find somewhere in that thick package of sedimentary rock, you find the right combination of heat and pressure to cook the organic materials in the shales to produce liquid hydrocarbons. It happens in every basin of this depth, and it makes sense.
Well, we're going to find out. You've got a rig on the way, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But first, I wanted to ask you for an update on what's happened over the past month or so since we've spoken, as far as land position and interpretation of exploration tools. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I mean, were we there with regards to the rig, Nick?
No.
Or are you talking about data?
Let's talk about data and the extension of the land package.
Yes, exactly. Well, what we've been working on the eastern extension of the Kavango Basin, which extends into Botswana. We've been working on that for quite some time. And anyway, we were just acquired, Recon Africa just acquired a license contract in Botswana comprising 2.45 million acres, which covers off the eastern extension of the Kavango. So now Recon Africa holds 8.75 million acres in Botswana and in Namibia, and has the entire basin. Again, aerially now larger than the Eagle Ford. But then on top of that, we've been talking about the unconventional, the shales. That's where it all starts. You got to have the kitchen. That's where the oil is, but then once it's cooked, the shales or the source rock expels oil and gas into the more permeable zones as well, more porous, more permeable. We call that the conventional. So our technical guys have been working on the conventional component over the last 3-4 months, and we've just come out with our play maps, which is on our corporate presentation, very important. And we've got, collectively, we now have 31 billion barrels of oil in place in the conventional and unconventional. And actually, now that we're talking, late Friday, Sproul, our third-party evaluator, has just come out with their assessment of the unconventional in Botswana, because that's new. And our in-house numbers were 5 billion barrels of oil in place in the unconventional in Botswana. And they've come out with 6.1 billion barrels of oil in place. So larger than our in-house estimates. And typically it's the other way around, right? And so our guys are being conservative. But again, collectively, all in, we feel that there's now, well, with the new Sproul numbers, 32.1 billion barrels of oil in place in this basin. It's a lot of oil.
That's a very, I was going to use an inappropriate word, but yeah, it's a lot of oil, and it's a giant land position, like you say. And well, let's talk about the team a little bit. I had another question to ask you, but the interpretation of this data, I think, is important. Let's talk about the Aeromag. Let's talk about other basins, and let's talk about the Mitchell Energy team for a second.
Certainly. Well, again, the Aeromag survey is, you can see on our web, on the corporate presentation on the website.
I'll put an image up.
It gives you, great. And you can see that it gives you the depth to basement, and it's very accurately delineated the igneous rock and the metamorphic rock, or the basement. And again, everything in between is sedimentary rock. And we anticipate that, because we are keying off the ST1 well, which had 620 feet of Permian shales, which is far to the west of the Kavango, but as the basin deepens, in every other basin in the world, you'll get a thicker Permian petroleum system. And again, up to, we feel, 5 to 10 times thicker, so up to 6,000 feet of Permian petroleum system to choose from. And so we anticipate we're going to find the Permian shales in there, very thick, and Permian conventional plays when we drill this. But that depth to basement gives you a beautiful picture of what this basin looks like, and that's exactly what you show to your joint venture partner. That's what gets them excited.
And the Mitchell Energy team? Yeah.
Well, fortunately, we were able to attract a friend of mine, Nick Steinsberger, who's a drilling and completions engineer. But Nick is most renowned for being one of, and actually the key technical guy within the 4 technical guys within Mitchell Energy at the turn of the century who cracked the code on liberating gas from the shales. And it was Nick who figured out how to apply a slick water frac to the shales to commercially produce hydrocarbons. He's in a league of his own. There's 5+ books written about this guy. There's new books coming out where Nick is included. And he's world renowned. And he's just joined the Recon Africa as the drilling and senior VP of drilling and completions. And here's a point I'd like to make, is that you look at all the technical guys in Recon Africa, they're all successful. These guys don't have to work. And they're attracted to Recon Africa because it's such an exceptional opportunity. Like if you're a technical person, Nick, well, and an investor from that perspective as well, you only get to discover a new sedimentary basin once in your life at best. And so the company is basically has got its choice of technical people to choose from. We're turning away technical people. This is an extremely exciting project. It's unprecedented.
Well,
it's the highest impact. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's the high. Go ahead. You finish the thought. It's the highest impact. What?
Well, it's the highest impact oil and gas play in the world right now.
Well, it's huge. I mean, just to reiterate, 6.3 million acres in Namibia, 2.45 million acres in Botswana that Recon controls, and there have been targets identified on both conventional and unconventional targets on the Namibia and Botswana side. And again, I'll put up an image, but the market is getting excited, and in my view, will continue to as the let's call it D-Day gets closer. I mean, drilling day, right? Which is what me as a speculator in the resource space gets excited about, right? Because we're going to poke a couple of holes in this thing and see what's down there. And so why don't you give us an update on that, where the rig is and when you expect it to get on site?
Okay, great. Yeah, good point. You know, this is the rig is a very integral component of the operation. Why do we have a rig? Well, in discussions with neighbors and Precision, et cetera, we decided that we could buy our own rig, drill the first 3 wells to prove up the active petroleum system in the Kavango, and still own the rig at the end of the day and stay in control of our destiny for 40% of what Precision was quoting us. So we bought the rig, and it's being refurbed to acclimate it for drilling in the Kalahari Desert. It's in Houston right now, and the rig, it's a perfect rig for the operation. It's never been used. It's mobile, can go 12,000 feet deep. And that's where we want to go. And we anticipate that it'll be, our schedule is that it'll be on a ship on or before September 15th. It's 35 days over to Walvis Bay in Namibia, and we'll have it over there the middle of October, and it's about 3-4 days on the road on paved highway right up to our property, anticipating a early November spud, and that's a huge catalyst.
Well, that's the catalyst that attracted me, and that I certainly want to see achieved. So I'll make you a deal, Craig. I'll have you back on while that rig is on the ship, and we can talk while that's going across the pond and get an update on exactly when you expect to start drilling and what the targets are looking like then. How's that sound?
No, that's a very good time to talk again, because then, clearly this operation is real. We've kicked it off, once the rig is on the ship, and that's just, a couple months away.
Well, appreciate your time today, Craig, and look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Okay. Always a pleasure, Nick. Thank you.